Jack Soden's recent revelations about Elvis Presley's life and final days pull back the curtain on the complexities of fame and the deeply human struggles of a man idolized by millions. These insights challenge the polished image of the king of rock and roll, revealing a reality that is far more intricate and sobering than the mythology surrounding him. What Soden uncovered is nothing short of groundbreaking, offering a perspective that redefines Elvis's story and exposes the price of unparalleled stardom. Born on January 8, 1935, in Tupelo, Mississippi, Elvis's journey to becoming the king of rock and roll is the quintessential rags-to-riches tale. He grew up in a small, impoverished town, the son of a struggling family, with no indication of the extraordinary life that lay ahead. The odds were stacked against him, yet his meteoric rise to fame began with the release of That's All Right in 1954. The song instantly captivated audiences, transforming Elvis into a cultural phenomenon. His gyrating hips, soulful voice, and magnetic presence ignited a fan frenzy that swept across the nation. But as Soden points out, this level of adoration came with immense pressure. From the start, Elvis felt compelled to project an image of perfection, a role that was both exhilarating and crushing. At the heart of Elvis's life was his deep love for family, particularly his mother, Gladys. Their bond was unshakable, and her death in 1958 was a devastating blow. Soden identifies this as a turning point in Elvis's life, one that left an indelible mark on his emotional well-being. The loss of Gladys shattered the foundation of his world, leaving him vulnerable in ways he had never experienced. While the public saw a man on top of the world, privately, Elvis was battling profound grief and an emptiness he could never fully escape. This heartbreak, according to Soden, marked the beginning of a downward spiral. Despite achieving monumental success, Elvis struggled with the demands of fame. His 1967 marriage to Priscilla and the birth of their daughter Lisa Marie gave the impression of a settled family life. However, the reality was far different. The relentless cycle of tours, media appearances, and film projects left little room for personal fulfillment. Elvis was surrounded by fans, an entourage, and adoring crowds, yet he often felt isolated and alone. Soden describes a man caught in a perpetual struggle to reconcile his public persona with his private desires, a battle that ultimately left him feeling fragmented and exhausted. Fame, as Soden emphasizes, is a double-edged sword. For Elvis, it brought immense fortune and adoration, but it also became a source of unrelenting stress. To keep up with his grueling schedule, he turned to prescription pills, a choice that reflected the era's casual attitude towards substances, but one that would have catastrophic consequences. What began as a way to sustain his energy and meet the demands of his career evolved into a dependency that undermined his health. The king who seemed larger than life was, in reality, struggling just to keep himself going. His deteriorating physical condition was a stark contrast to the electrifying performances that fans saw on stage. Elvis's life became a cautionary tale of what happens when human fragility meets the unyielding expectations of global stardom. Soden's revelations shed light on the immense toll that fame exacted on Elvis's body, mind, and spirit. Behind the glittering image of the king of rock and roll was a man grappling with loneliness, grief, and the relentless pursuit of an ideal that no one could sustain. His story is a poignant reminder that even the brightest stars can be consumed by the weight of their own brilliance. Ultimately, Elvis Presley's legacy is one of extraordinary talent and profound tragedy. Jack Soden's insights invite us to look beyond the legend and see the man, flawed and human, who paid a steep price for his place in history. While the king may have had everything the world could offer, what he truly needed, peace, connection, and balance, remained elusive. His life serves as both an inspiration and a caution, a testament to the heights of creativity and the depths of vulnerability that define the human experience. Jack Soden's reflections on Elvis Presley provide a powerful look into the complexities of fame, the cost of stardom, and the enduring myth of a cultural icon. Graceland, purchased in 1957, was often seen as a paradise, a symbol of Elvis's incredible success. But in truth, it became a gilded cage. While it served as a refuge where he could retreat from the public eye, it also isolated him, exacerbating his struggles with health and substance dependency. By the 1970s, Elvis was no longer the vibrant performer who had electrified audiences. His health was deteriorating, high blood pressure, liver problems, and glaucoma added to his growing list of ailments. Fans noticed the change. His once energetic performances grew slower, his smile seemed forced, and his charisma dimmed. Yet, surrounded by an entourage too afraid to challenge him, Elvis continued his downward spiral unchecked. The tragedy of August 16, 1977, shocked the world. At just 42 years old, Elvis was found unresponsive in the bathroom at Graceland. Attempts to revive him failed, and the king of rock and roll was gone. Rumors and conspiracy theories swirled in the wake of his death: heart attacks, substance abuse, or perhaps even an elaborate escape from fame. Soden dismisses these theories, emphasizing that the truth was far less glamorous. Elvis was a man under immense pressure, and his body simply gave out. Yet many fans refused to accept this mundane explanation. Instead, they clung to tales of Elvis faking his death and living a quiet, anonymous life, with supposed sightings reported everywhere from gas stations to Kalamazoo, Michigan. These myths endure because Elvis represented more than music. He embodied rebellion, love, and the American dream. For fans, accepting his death meant confronting the mortality of an icon. In the years following his passing, Graceland transformed from a private retreat to a public shrine. Managed by Jack Soden, it has become a place where fans gather to honor Elvis's memory. The irony is striking. What was once his sanctuary is now a symbol of connection, a site where people from around the world come to feel closer to the king. Soden's stewardship aims to balance the myth and the reality of Elvis's life. While preserving his legacy, Soden also seeks to remind fans of the human being behind the music. Elvis was brilliant but flawed, a man who gave everything to his craft but ultimately fell victim to the pressures of fame. Even today, Elvis's presence remains ubiquitous. His music, movies, and image are timeless. Graceland stands as a testament to his legacy, a place where fans walk through the gates hoping to capture a piece of the magic he brought to the world. But as Soden candidly notes, Elvis's life was not all glitz and glamour. It was also marked by addiction, health issues, and profound loneliness. Fame gave Elvis the world, but it also took a devastating toll, leaving him unfulfilled despite his success. His story is a poignant reminder that behind the dazzling facade of stardom lies the reality of human vulnerability. Elvis's life was a roller coaster of triumph and tragedy, from his humble beginnings in Tupelo, Mississippi, to the pinnacle of global superstardom, and ultimately to his untimely demise. Soden's insights paint a vivid picture of a man who achieved everything yet yearned for something simpler. Fans may never let go of the conspiracy theories or the idea that Elvis somehow transcended mortality, but the truth of his life offers a deeper, more sobering legacy. Elvis Presley's story is one of brilliance and struggle, a testament to the double-edged nature of fame and the enduring humanity of a legend. Jack Soden's account of Elvis Presley's life offers a sobering, unvarnished perspective on the king of rock and roll. While conspiracy theories and romanticized tales continue to swirl around Elvis's untimely death, Soden's version is rooted in reality, addiction, deteriorating health, and the crushing weight of fame. It isn't glamorous, nor does it have a fairy tale ending, but it's the most authentic narrative. Elvis Presley remains an icon decades after his death, his music inspiring countless artists and his influence on pop culture as vibrant as ever. Yet behind the legend was a man whose struggles were all too human, a truth Soden understands deeply. His dedication to preserving Graceland as both a tribute to Elvis's greatness and a reminder of his vulnerabilities ensures that the man behind the myth isn't forgotten. Graceland, Elvis's grand home, symbolizes both his triumphs and his hidden battles. It was a haven for the king, but also a place where his isolation and struggles deepened. The unseen side of his life tells a darker story, one of relentless dedication to his craft that ultimately took everything from him. Perhaps that's why fans cling to the idea that Elvis faked his death, to imagine he finally found the peace that eluded him in life. But Soden's revelations highlight a far less romantic reality. Even the brightest stars can burn out, and the cost of fame can be devastating. Elvis's story is filled with contradictions, love and loneliness, triumph and tragedy, and it's these dualities that continue to captivate audiences. He was a man who seemed to have it all, but lost himself in the process. The health issues that contributed to his death didn't appear overnight. They were the result of years of grueling tours, poor eating habits, and reliance on prescription medications. Despite his outward confidence and charisma, Elvis was privately battling both physical and mental exhaustion. As Soden describes, Elvis gave everything to his craft, performing with unmatched energy and passion. But the demands of his lifestyle were relentless. He began taking amphetamines to sustain his performances, initially as a tool to endure his punishing schedule. However, this dependence quickly grew, and to counteract the effects, he turned to barbiturates to help him sleep. What began as a coping mechanism spiraled into a dangerous cycle of addiction. Elvis, a man adored by millions, became trapped in a life dictated by his need to balance uppers and downers just to function. While the public saw the dazzling performer and the glamorous Graceland, the reality was far bleaker. He was a prisoner in his own life, battling addiction and isolation within the confines of his mansion. Beneath it all, Elvis feared one thing above all else: being forgotten. Rising to fame as the first true rock and roll star, he revolutionized music and culture. Yet, by the late 1960s and early 1970s, the pressure to stay relevant and maintain his iconic status weighed heavily on him. His story is a poignant reminder that fame, while alluring, often comes with a steep and unforgiving price. The music scene was evolving rapidly during Elvis Presley's later years, and he struggled to keep up. As new bands like the Beatles and the Rolling Stones took the stage with fresh sounds, Elvis felt the pressure to remain relevant as the king of rock and roll. Jack Soden recounts how this desperation drove Elvis to extremes. Unable to relinquish the spotlight, he pushed himself relentlessly, even as it took a toll on his health. The infamous Las Vegas shows, intended as a grand comeback, became a grueling cycle that drained him physically and emotionally. He felt compelled to prove himself repeatedly, trapped by the weight of his legacy. Elvis's inability to slow down stemmed from the immense expectations placed upon him, not just by fans but by the industry and those who depended on his success. He had become an empire, and stepping back felt impossible. This unrelenting pressure drove him further into dependency on pills to maintain his grueling schedule. Despite the adoration surrounding him, he experienced profound loneliness, a feeling of being surrounded by people yet utterly alone. This loneliness extended to his personal relationships. By the time his marriage to Priscilla ended in 1973, the cracks in his life had widened into gaping voids. Jack Soden highlights how deeply this loss affected Elvis. His marriage had been a stabilizing force, and its dissolution left him adrift. Though he sought solace in new relationships and surrounded himself with an entourage of girlfriends and acquaintances, these connections were often superficial. Many people in his inner circle were drawn by the allure of fame and privilege, rather than genuine care for the man behind the legend. Elvis's fame became a double-edged sword, isolating him further. Soden describes a man who, despite being adored by millions, felt trapped in a gilded cage. The people around him were captivated by the myth of the king, making it nearly impossible for anyone to connect with the real person. Elvis craved authentic connection, but his fame created a barrier that left him increasingly isolated and lonely, even as he stood at the center of the world's attention. Elvis Presley's declining health, broken relationships, and growing dependence on substances all pointed to one undeniable truth: the king had lost control of his life. Jack Soden paints a picture of a man who, in his final years, had become more like a puppet than the master of his destiny. Despite moments when Elvis expressed a desire to break free from his destructive cycle, the habits had become too ingrained, and the pressures too overwhelming. The saddest part is that he still had so much to offer. He wanted to perform, to create music, and to connect with his fans. But by the time he was ready to make a change, his body had already given out. Soden recalls how those closest to Elvis lived in a constant state of anxiety, always wondering if the next day would be the day he finally couldn't recover. It's heartbreaking to consider. A man with immense talent and charisma reduced to a shell of his former self. In the end, it wasn't just the substances or his health that caused his downfall. It was everything. The fame, the constant pressure, the need to be perfect, and the fear of being forgotten all took their toll. Soden's account doesn't sugarcoat it. Elvis had everything, but he couldn't hold on to any of it. His final days were a tragic testament to the destructive impact of fame, especially for those who aren't equipped to handle its crushing realities. Today, Graceland stands as a living tribute to Elvis's legacy. Jack Soden has worked tirelessly to ensure that the king is remembered, not just for his music, but for the man he was. Balancing the preservation of the legend with a truthful portrayal of his humanity, Soden has made it possible for fans to connect with the person behind the icon. Elvis Presley's influence continues to resonate today. His music still inspires, his image remains etched in pop culture, and his story serves as a poignant reminder of the highs and lows of fame. Thanks to Soden's efforts, Graceland remains a place where the king's legacy and the complexities of his life are celebrated. Elvis Presley was more than just a star. He was a man, with dreams, fears, successes, and failures. While Soden's version of events may not be the glamorous fairy tale some fans desire, it's the reality that gives depth to the legend. Elvis was larger than life, yet he was human, and perhaps that is the most important part of his enduring legacy. So, is Jack Soden's account of Elvis's final days merely a wild tale, or is there something deeper we've yet to fully understand? Let us know your thoughts and be sure to like and subscribe for more.